Picture this. It's Halloween night. You know, the air's crisp, leaves are blowing around, and those carved pumpkins are grinning everywhere. Tonight, though, we're going beyond the usual spooky fun.
Yeah, we're sharing some true stories tonight.
Exactly. Real accounts from real people whose Halloween took a seriously dark turn. We're talking experiences that went way past costumes and candy.
These aren't campfire tales. These are things that actually happened. Moments where, the fun scares of Halloween suddenly became, real fear, real danger.
It's about that line being crossed, isn't it? When the make-believe fright becomes genuinely terrifying.
Precisely. That moment, the festive feeling just shatters.
Okay, let's start with our first story. This happened back in 2012, Halloween night. Our narrator was at a big party at his friend Nick's place.
And Nick apparently went all out for Halloween. Decorations, the whole 9 yards, even a haunted maze he built himself.
Right, so it's kind of your typical high school scene, sounds like. The narrator mentions there was some underage drinking, maybe some drug use upstairs in Nick's room. Just setting the scene,
A normal party atmosphere, maybe a bit unsupervised.
But then things changed.
Yeah.
Suddenly, 2 really loud bangs from downstairs, just bam, bam.
That's jarring, interrupts everything.
And then the screaming started. Not like fun haunted house screams. This was pure terror. The narrator said it sounded like a whole crowd of people in serious trouble.
You can almost feel that shift, can't you? From party noise to genuine panic.
Nick apparently freaked out too, yelling at everyone upstairs, "Hide! Hide now!"
So he knew immediately it was bad. Serious danger.
Yeah. And they scrambled. Nick and his friend Joey jumped into the closet. The narrator and someone named Q slid under the bed. Another guy, Vinny G, crammed himself into a storage box. Just pure panic.
Imagine trying to find anywhere safe in seconds.
Then the music downstairs just cuts out. Silence. And then this man's voice, really harsh, yelling for everyone to be quiet.
Chilling. That sudden control asserted by a hostile voice. It's terrifying, demanding silence, to dominate the situation.
It gets worse. Another loud bang they figured out later is a gunshot. Then more shouting, but now it sounded like at least 3 different intruders.
So multiple assailants.
Definitely. And then they heard heavy footsteps stomping up the stairs, coming right for the bedroom door where they were hiding.
Oh, God.
They tried the handle, it was locked. Then they started slamming against the door. When that didn't work, gunshots, right at the doorknob.
Jesus.
The door flew open, and they could hear more terrified cries coming from downstairs after those shots.
The violence just escalating, spilling upstairs.
So the narrator's under the bed, sees these black boots, ripped jeans walk into the room, heading straight for the closet.
Where Nick and Joey were hiding.
Exactly. And Nick,
Yeah.
he just gave himself up. Stepped out, offered them money, probably trying to save Joey.
Yep.
The intruder just pointed, told to go downstairs.
An incredibly brave or maybe just desperate act.
Joey stayed hidden. So did the narrator and the others, just praying.
Holding their breath.
Then, after what must have felt like forever, silence again. And finally, the sound of the front door slamming shut.
You're gone.
It came back up, white as a sheet, shaking. Said they're gone. But the relief didn't last.
What happened?
They went downstairs, cautiously, and they found 2 of their friends, Jen and Robbie, dead, shot in the head.
Oh, no. Friends of theirs.
Yeah, friends of the narrator, friends of Nick. Just devastating. From party to absolute horror scene in minutes.
Unimaginable. Turning terror into just utter tragedy.
The police showed up, of course. Apparently the house smelled like weed, but the cops were focused on finding these killers.
Understandably.
They pieced together some details. 4 intruders total, all wearing fedoras, those vendetta masks.
The Guy Fawkes masks. Creepy.
Yeah. And coats, gloves.
Yeah.
Completely disguised. They demanded money first, $100,000 cash.
Wow, specific amount. Sounds targeted.
When they didn't get it, they just made everyone empty their wallets, phones, everything into a sack. Then they killed Jen and Robbie.
Yeah.
And left.
Just cold, calculated, brutal. The masks, the demand. It feels planned.
And the story doesn't even end there. Not really. Nick, the host, he was completely destroyed by it. The guilt, thinking it was his fault. His friends died at his party.
Survivor's guilt, it can be crushing.
He got deeply depressed, started drinking heavily, moved on to harder drugs. Less than a year later, July 2013, he died of a heroin overdose.
God, that's heartbreaking. The trauma just consumed him, a secondary victim of that night.
Yeah, just a terrible ripple effect from that one horrific Halloween.
Shows how deep the scars can go.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Our next story is also from 2013, Halloween night again. But this time is about someone alone.
Different kind of vulnerability. Isolation.
Exactly. The narrator had just moved into this small one-story corner house with a basement. It was their first Halloween living alone. Try and watch scary movies around 11 p.m. Distract themselves.
Setting the scene. Alone in a new place.
Then, a knock at the door. First thought. Just kids. Ding-dong ditch, maybe late trick-or-treaters.
Pretty normal assumption on Halloween.
But the knocking didn't stop. It got louder. Became pounding.
Really?
Relentless. Even after the narrator yelled out, go away.
Okay, that's persistent. Starting to feel less like a prank.
Yeah, they got annoyed, maybe a little creeped out. Went outside twice, looked around the yard, down the street, nothing. Nobody there.
Eerie. The invisible knocker.
So they go back inside, double lock the front door, even lock their bedroom door, but the pounding just keeps going for half an hour straight.
That's definitely not kids playing games anymore. That's deliberate harassment. Intimidation.
Right, so eventually it stops. They finally manage to drift off.
Yeah.
Only to be jolted awake around 2 a.m. by knocking.
Oh no, not again.
But this time, the knocking was coming from their bedroom door.
Inside the house.
Inside, whatever or whoever it was now inside the house, outside their locked bedroom door.
That is pure terror. The safe space is breached.
Absolute panic. They're frantically looking around the room, trying to find anything, weapon, anything.
Adrenaline dump. Fight or flight.
Then they get this idea. Desperate, but clever. Grabbed their phone, pulled up a gunshot sound effect on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
Cranked the volume on their speakers, blasted the sound effect, and yelled something like, "Get out, I have a gun."
Did it work?
Incredibly, yes.
Ah.
They heard footsteps, running, definitely running away.
Thank God for quick thinking.
But when they finally got the courage to open their bedroom door, the front door of the house was standing wide open.
So they did get in. How
They never found out. Called the police, filed a report, but
Yeah. How did they get in? Who was it? Just terrifying questions left hanging.
that uncertainty is almost as scary.
Definitely. Okay, our third story goes back a bit. The narrator was 14 at the time.
Younger, home alone situation.
Pretty much. Their little sister, who was 8, went trick-or-treating with their mom. The narrator stayed behind to hand out candy. Seemed simple enough.
Right, typical Halloween chore for a teenager.
But then the kitchen phone starts ringing. Loudly. They answer it. Silence. Just maybe some faint fumbling sounds on the other end. Then it hangs up. Annoying. Maybe a wrong number at first.
It happened again and again. The second time, they thought they heard faint breathing. They tried to brush it off, thinking maybe it was their friend Steve pulling a prank.
You try to rationalize it, right? Find a non-threatening explanation.
Exactly. But the calls kept coming. Either dead silence or that faint breathing. The unease started to build. You know that feeling.
Oh yeah, the persistent unknown. It gnaws at you.
Then came the call. The voice was disguised, exaggeratedly deep, and it said, "I'll be paying you a visit tonight."
Okay, that crosses the line. Direct threat, no longer a potential prank.
Totally. The narrator slammed the phone down, heart pounding, refused to answer it after that, just let it ring.
Smart move, but terrifying to be alone with that threat hanging over you.
But half an hour goes by. Then suddenly,
Yeah.
boom, all the power in the house goes out.
Yeah.
Pitch black.
Oh, come on. That's nightmare fuel, the timing.
Right, and almost immediately after the power cut, loud, angry thumping starts at the front door.
This is it. They're making their move.
Terrified, alone in the dark, hearing this pounding, they eventually creep to the door and open it just enough to see
Who was it?
their friend, Steve, standing there, laughing his head off.
Steve. The friend they suspected earlier, so it's just a prank.
Nah, partly. Steve admitted, yeah, he made the heavy breathing calls, but he swore he didn't make the threatening call with the deep voice, and he definitely didn't cut the power.
Wait, so someone else?
That's what they discovered. They went outside, checked the fuse box. It had been forced open, wires deliberately snipped.
Whoa, okay, so Steve's prank coincided with something much more sinister.
Seems like it. They called the police. That last threatening call traced to a payphone outside a bar nearby.
So not Steve?
No. Was it someone who overheard Steve planning his prank? Or someone totally separate who saw an opportunity? A genuine potential break-in that got interrupted? They never found out.
Leaves you wondering, that edge of uncertainty. What almost happened?
Exactly. Just
Yeah.
creepy. Okay, next up, a different kind of creepy. More of that classic unsettling Halloween figure.
The mysterious watcher trope.
Kind of. This is from when the narrator was a kid, trick-or-treating with friends years ago. They walked past this guy, standing stock still on someone's lawn, wearing a mask, holding an old-fashioned lantern.
Could be just a decoration or someone really getting into the spirit.
That's what you'd think. But as they passed, he slowly turned his head and just watched them, followed them with his eyes.
Okay, a little unnerving, adds a bit of life to the decoration.
But then, they kept seeing him. As they went house to house, down the block, there he was again. Same mask, same lantern, always a little distance away, but seemingly pacing them.
Okay, now it's weird. That's not random, that's following.
Totally. Felt like something out of a horror movie, they said. This silent figure just keeping track of them. At one point, they hadn't seen him for a bit, thought maybe he was gone. They finished at a house, turned to leave, and there he is, standing right in the middle of the road waiting.
Oh, that's direct confrontation, blocking their path, almost.
That was the final straw for them. They noped right back to the house they just left, rang the bell again, asked the adults for help.
Smart kids, trusting their gut instinct.
And later, turns out their instincts were spot on. A family friend later mentioned seeing a guy in a mask hiding behind trees in that same neighborhood that night, trying to lure kids over to him.
Seriously, predatory behavior.
Yeah. Apparently the friend yelled at him, threatened to call the cops, and the guy took off. So that creepy feeling the kids had, absolutely justified. He wasn't just spooky decoration.
Chilling. A reminder that sometimes the monsters are real, even on Halloween.
For sure. Now this next one, this is intense. An attempted abduction scenario.
Oh God. Okay.
Halloween night. The narrator is 11, trick-or-treating with their friend Casey, also 11. They're crossing this little wooden footbridge over a local river, the Jack Winkle River.
Just two young kids out together.
And suddenly, this black Jeep pulls up right onto the bridge, completely blocking their way forward.
Immediately threatening, using a vehicle to intimidate children.
Their instincts screamed danger. They turned around instantly to leave the way they came, but then a man's voice, kind of raspy, calls out, "Hey kids, come back here. Need directions."
The classic lure, trying to appear non-threatening after a threatening action.
They were smart though. They refused, kept walking away. But then, the Jeep drove off the bridge, looped around, and pulled up ahead of them. And at the same time, an SUV appeared from the other direction, blocking their escape route.
Oh no. Coordinated. Trapped.
Exactly. Two men in the SUV. One older, gray, curly hair, mustache, also had a raspy voice. They started offering free candy, telling the kids get in the car.
Textbook abduction attempt. Offering bait, issuing commands.
And then the black Jeep reappeared behind them, just slowly rolling along, boxing them in. It felt like a planned attack.
Nightmare unfolding in real time for these kids.
The Jeep suddenly gunned it, slammed on the brakes right beside them. Two men jumped out and lunged for them.
Physical assault now.
Pure panic. They dropped their candy bags, everything, and just ran. Ran for the narrator's house as fast as they possibly could, banging on the door, ringing the bell over and over.
Desperate flight. Adrenaline must have been off the charts.
Luckily, the men chasing them weren't very fast runners. When they saw the kids reach the porch, they gave up, turned around, got back in the vehicles.
Thank goodness they made it to safety just in time.
Yeah, the narrator's mom flung the door open, pulled them inside, locked it tight, called 911 immediately.
Good response.
And believe it or not, the police actually caught them. Found the black Jeep, the SUV, and three men, the older guys, nearby. Put them in cuffs.
Wow, they got him. That's some measure of relief, at least.
They even had an unmarked cop car sit outside the narrator's house for 3 hours, just in case. The narrator and Casey apparently yelled at the guys in the back of the police car when they drove past.
Can't blame them. Righteous anger after that terror. A terrifying ordeal, but thankfully one with a resolution, unlike some.
True. A very real danger lurking beneath the surface of Halloween night.
Absolutely.
Okay, story number 6. This one is unsettling in a different way. A violation of safety right inside the home.
Intrusion.
Yes. It was Halloween night. The narrator took her 7-year-old daughter, Jamie, trick-or-treating. Got home, had dinner, watched some TV, tucked Jamie into bed. Standard routine.
Sounds normal.
Later, Jamie comes into her mom's room, scared. Says, "Mommy, someone's in my closet."
Oh, the classic childhood fear. The monster in the closet.
Right, so the narrator does the parent thing, reassures her, says it's just her imagination, maybe checks the closet quickly, shows her it's empty, sends her back to bed.
Standard procedure.
But a little while later, Jamie comes back, even more scared this time. She says, "No, really, I heard noises, moving around, things falling."
Okay, persistence like that. You start to wonder, maybe it's not just imagination.
Exactly. The narrator felt that too. A knot of worry. So she goes back with Jamie, stands by the closet door, listens, then opens it. and hears a definite thud from inside.
Oh, God. Someone was in there.
Yes, hiding inside was their neighbor's son, Randy.
The neighbor's kid? What was he doing in there? That's incredibly weird and inappropriate.
Beyond weird. The narrator was furious, obviously. Hauled Randy straight back to his parents' house next door.
I bet.
But it gets worse. Under questioning from his parents and the narrator, Randy breaks down, admits he didn't just sneak in alone, he came in with his friend Daryl, while the narrator and Jamie were out trick-or-treating.
Two of them. And they were hiding, waiting.
And the most sickening part, the narrator goes back to her house, searches it, and finds Daryl still inside the house, holding Jamie's underwear.
Oh, no. No, that's beyond creepy. That's deeply disturbing, predatory.
Absolutely sickening. The narrator apparently lost it, physically confronted Daryl, threw him out, but Daryl, they didn't call the police.
Why not, after finding them?
Because of the friendship with Randy's dad. Didn't want to ruin the relationship or get the kids into serious trouble, maybe. A difficult, maybe regrettable decision in hindsight.
That's a tough spot, but finding someone with your child's underwear, that feels like it crosses a line where friendship shouldn't matter.
You think so? Janie slept with her mom that night, obviously terrified. And the next morning, they found something else. A small drill hole in Jamie's closet door, positioned at eye level.
They were spying on her, planning it, drilling a peephole. That's premeditated. Chilling.
Yeah. The narrator still wonders if they made a mistake not calling the police. Randy apparently went off to college later, like nothing happened. But that violation, just awful.
Leaves a permanent sense of unease, I imagine, knowing that happened in your own home.
Okay, one more story for tonight. This one leans a bit more into the unexplained, possibly supernatural.
Ooh, okay. A ghost story for Halloween.
Maybe. It happened on Halloween night after the narrator's family had just moved into a big new house in Mississauga, Ontario. Still unpacking, places unfamiliar.
New house, lots of unknown spaces and sounds. Prime territory for spookiness.
Right, it's late, like 11:30 p.m. Narrator's tired, wants to go to bed, but has a few last chores. Finally gets to their bedroom, and then hears a clear footsteps in the upstairs hallway.
But they thought everyone else was downstairs.
Exactly. They were sure the rest of the family was in the basement unpacking. So they creep out, check the hall, nobody there.
Settling noises in a new house.
Right.
Or something else.
They go ask the family downstairs, hey, was anyone just upstairs walking around? Nope. Everyone denies it. Then they notice their bedroom is freezing cold. Way colder than the rest of the house.
Okay, the cold spot. Classic paranormal sign, if you believe in that stuff. Adds to the unease.
They try to ignore it, get into bed.
Yeah.
Around 12:30 a.m., they're woken up by loud banging.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's coming from their parents' bedroom down the hall.
Okay, definitely something going on now.
They go check on their parents, ask them about the banging. Parents say, what banging? We didn't hear anything.
So only the narrator heard the footsteps and the banging? That's strange. Isolating.
Very. They go back to their room, feeling really weirded out. And then their bedroom door slowly creaks open.
Yep.
Just a crack. And standing there, right next to their bed, they see this figure. Really tall, they estimated like 7 feet tall, just a dark shape.
7 feet tall. Okay, that's not normal.
And then this tall, shadowy figure leans down slightly and just says, "Brrr."
It spoke.
Yeah. The narrator just screamed bloody murder. Parents come rushing in, flip on the light.
Was it there?
Nothing. Figure completely gone. No sign anyone had been there. Parents, siblings, nobody believed them. Didn't hear the knocking, didn't see a figure, just thought the narrator had a nightmare from the stress of moving.
Wow. So was it a ghost? A hallucination? A very tall, very weird prankster who vanished instantly? Just unexplained. And terrifying for the person who experienced it.
Totally unexplained. A chilling welcome to the new house right on Halloween.
Definitely leaves you with goosebumps.
So, I mean, these stories, they really cover a spectrum, don't they? From tragic violence to attempted abduction, creepy stalkers, home invasions, even the possibly paranormal.
They absolutely do. And they all happened on or around Halloween, a night we usually associate with, fun and harmless scares. It just shows how thin that veil can be sometimes.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that real darkness, real threats, they don't take holidays off. The unexpected can happen anytime, anywhere.
And these experiences, they stick with people. The fear, the trauma, the unanswered questions, it lingers long after the night is over. It really makes you think about the line between a prank and a genuine threat, doesn't it?
It really does. When does spooky fun cross over into something dangerous or deeply disturbing?
A question worth pondering, especially around this time of year.
Well, that brings us to the end of our collection of true Halloween horrors for tonight. We hope these stories gave you, well, maybe more than just a little chill.
Food for thought, definitely.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening with us. If you found these accounts compelling or just enjoy exploring the darker side of true stories, please do us a favor.
Yeah, please like this, share it with friends who might be interested, and definitely subscribe to the Hoarder Docs channel. We've got more unsettling content coming your way.
Stay safe out there, whatever you're doing.
And maybe double check those locks tonight. Until next time.